Squattups here. We're north of Phoenix. I have a Patriot Guard escort tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock in Cottonwood, Arizona. And that is a long ways from Phoenix, Arizona to try and make it in the morning. So I'm on my way to Cottonwood today, stay in a hotel overnight to make that escort tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. But this also gives me a chance because, for a couple of reasons. Number one, I normally would have taken Interstate 17 north, but they had a grass fire up there yesterday, and I'm not sure that Interstate 17 is open for kind of fast-moving traffic. I'm just not sure. So I'm actually going through Wickenburg and up the back way on US 89A. Now, it's not going to be any faster than it would be going on a slow Interstate 17, to be honest with you, because 89A is the road that was built a long, long time ago as the stage road between Gila Bend and Prescott, Arizona, when Prescott was the territorial capital. And it literally is a mountain road north of Wickenburg, full of turns and inclines and all kinds of things that motorcyclists just love. So I'm taking this opportunity to, starting in Wickenburg, record the road up through all of the area of the mountains to Prescott, 89A, and staying on 89A, and going over through Jerome and into Clarkdale. Now, this video isn't going to cover all of that because it'd be too freaking long. It just would be. Nobody'd watch it. So, what we're doing is I'm going to record it all at once and then post it a little bit at a time. Maybe 2, maybe 3 videos get out of it. So the first one will be, we're about 3-4 miles outside of Wickenburg. And Wickenburg is still an active town. It's still booming. A lot of people like to live in Wickenburg, especially if they're retired, because it's outside of Phoenix. It's a little cooler than Phoenix. The temperature here is probably around 104, 105 right now. It's July, July 9th, I believe. And Phoenix is going to run today about 112, 113. So there's a 5 or 6 degree difference between Wickenburg and Phoenix. Then as you go north and on the mountains towards Prescott, the temperature's going to drop down into double digits once we get into Prescott. Could be as low as in the high 80s, which would be wonderful if it is, believe it or not. That would be great. As you can see, I'm in low rolling hills, lots of mesquite trees. I won't have to stop in Wickenburg because I got gas down in Phoenix and I've only gone about 50 miles. It's a beautiful day. High clouds, blue skies, a little bit of a breeze. As you can see, Prescott is 81 miles. Now, that 81 miles will take a little more than 2 hours to get there because of the way the road works. And you'll see that as we go up. So, Wickenburg is an old west town. It was a mining town as well. They did some mining in here. But when they built the railroad and they had the stagecoach and all of that, it was a kind of a travel nexus. The stage would come in here, stop, change horses, maybe stay overnight, and then they climb the mountain into Prescott. came through. It was just automatic, because you could also, out of Wickenburg, go out to California, out into Los Angeles, Riverside, that area, through here. And so when they built the railroad out from California, or through California, the southwestern railroad, Tombstone, Tucson, and that area, up to Flagstaff and then across, they also built a spur line through Wickenburg. Again, mining was a big deal here, copper mining, and they got silver and gold as well. A lot of cattle, western type stuff going on, and it just kind of turned into a touristy kind of place as well. This is the outskirts. And as you can see, the elevation is about 2,100 feet. We'll be a lot higher than that in just a little while once we start up the mountain. Wickenburg has a river through it, the Hassayampa River. There may even be water in it. No guarantees. There may be water. Cottonwood's doing well. Construction going on. It's actually kind of a nice town, but it's a town, it's not a city. It's long and narrow. They still do a lot of western stuff. You can come out here. They have dude ranch and trail rides. I've even heard at some points during the year you can come up and participate in a cattle drive, because they drive the cattle down from the high country here for the winter and then drive them back up north to in the summer, so the cattle don't have to deal with the heat. Cafes and bars. Looks like Indiana Jones is at the movie theater. Now what we're doing, we're on US 60 right now. We're headed from there to 89A. It's on the west side of Wickenburg. You'll be outside the city limits before we turn north. I used to do this ride a lot. My wife, Barbara, and I used to love coming up and riding through the mountains in up between Prescott and Wickenburg, Black Canyon City, then further north up into Cottonwoods. My wife passed away 2 3/4 years ago. And I've sort of been filling my time, at least partly, by riding with the Patriot Guard Riders. I started off on what they call not a road guard, honor bike. I'd fly a flag, American flag, or a service flag for the honoree that we were riding for that day in the procession. Then I worked real hard and became what's called a road guard. And a road guard is part of the team that controls the traffic for the funeral procession as we make our way to the cemetery wherever the honoree is being laid to rest. So I'm on my road guard bike. Now, why that makes a difference, if you're looking, you see it's pretty wired up. It's got red and blue emergency lights all around, has a siren, and citizens band radio so we can communicate with other road guards. And I've been doing that since September 2022. So at first, this isn't going to look much different than what you've seen so far. Just another road through the desert. Little high mountain desert, a little greener, a little more dangerous because you can see the grass is really dry and wants to burn just like nothing. And if you've been paying attention, you've seen twice now something called the Granite Mountain Hot Shots Memorial. Back some time ago, it was either late 80s or early 90s, I don't remember, they had a big fire up here outside of a little town called Yarnell. It's up on the mountain there. And they called out a whole bunch of firefighters from all over. They came from California, they came up from Tucson, and there was a group that came down from Prescott. The ones that came down from Prescott were called the Granite Mountain Hot Shots. And they had determined that they were not going to let Yarnell burn. And so they went up into the kind of the northeast part to fight the fire. And the fire got around them. I think there were 10 men in the hot shots. I think that was right. And when the fire got around them, they tried to retreat. They tried to pull back to get out of the way of the fire, but the fire cut them off and killed the whole crew just outside of the town of Yarnell. But the city, the town, did not burn. And so everybody got together and put up a memorial for the Granite Mountain Hot Shots. And that's what that sign is alluding to. We are, like now, 17 miles from the Granite Mountain Hot Shots Memorial. you remember when I was talking about Wickenburg, I told you about the trains? Well, you can see the tracks there, because that's one of the trains that's coming through from California. Long freights mostly. Although I have heard a rumor that they're thinking about trying to start up passenger service out of Phoenix using trains, which would be kind of cool. I took a train when I was a kid with my mom. We lived in Idaho at the time. I was born and raised on a cattle ranch. And when I was, I think I was maybe 6, 7, we took a train from Idaho Falls. We had to go up through Montana and then back down into California. My grandmother lived in Glendale, California. And we were like 2, maybe 3 days on the train. I don't remember because I was just a kid. But I remember really having a good time on that train. It was fun. So it would be kind of cool to have passenger service out of Phoenix again. Just to take a train somewhere. Race, as you can probably tell. Sorry, I'm concentrating. Yeah. I used to live in Prescott, my wife and I, back when we were much younger. As a matter of fact, we'd been married about 3 years. And I was an ambulance driver and a emergency medical technician, driver and medic for an ambulance service out of Prescott. And we used to service this area as part of our Prescott area because we serviced Yavapai County for the sheriff. And we would get calls down here because motorcycles or cars would try to race up these hills, and the turns are not heavily banked, so you got to really be careful about what you're doing. And of course they wouldn't. And more than one person I should say, has rolled their car down this mountain to their final detriment. I think over the course of the two and a half years I worked for that ambulance company, we pulled 3 people up this hill. One of them actually was alive. We used to call that the Yarnell Hill. The reason being, right at the top is the town of Yarnell. And this is that town I was telling you about that the Granite Mountain hotshots were trying to protect. And one thing you don't do in Yarnell is talk bad about the Granite Mountain hotshots. Trust me. We'll see here soon. I don't remember how far it is to Prescott from here. Seems to me like it was only about 35 miles, but I could be wrong. Oh, there it is right there. 34. I was right.